Preseason game number 4 in the books for the Lakers. They fall to the Warriors 111-97. We've talked about it all preseason long. It's more about the process versus the results right now. And tonight it was an opportunity, guys, as JJ Redick said before the game began. He wanted to assimilate as close to a 9-man rotation through the first half.
Yeah, I mean, easy pickings for him tonight. You know, not the type of defense that he's going to see normally. He did have a mismatch, and he took advantage of it. And they didn't double as much. A lot of one-on-one. So, you know, AD, though, coming off the Olympics, he looks good. He looks in shape. Laterally, his footwork is good. He seems to be patient at picking his shots. And so that was a good sign. And I think he can sustain that even against, you know, the tougher competition.
How much of this is a balance, then, when you look at the guards from that 5 to 9 rotation? We had a graphic when you're talking about Max Christie, Gabe, Vincent, Dalton Connect. You see the numbers right here. Max and Gabe 0 for 8, or should I say 0 for 5 from 3.
Yeah, it's just work in progress. I'm not overly concerned about, you know, Max and Gabe. I know that Gabe is capable, and so is Max. I just think as they get used to one another and get that rotation in sync a little bit, guys playing more minutes, LeBron and AD, especially, you know, as Fish mentioned, LeBron really not, you know, asserting himself. Doesn't bother me in this one game that they didn't get any points. I just like the effort that they had.
Again, let's not forget, Gabe Vincent missed 71 games last year. Yeah. Max Christie played only 14 minutes, and Dalton Connect's a rookie.
Yeah, it's going to be a thing for both those guys. And I thought Max has had a pretty good preseason. You know, there was one game earlier among the first 3 where he didn't shoot too well, but I like his energy. I like his hustle, both ends of the court. I think when the Lakers do need a stop late in the game, he'll be in that final 5 to try to get that stop. And I think I think Gabe Vincent will be in that too. Gabe, yeah, he's just got to, it sounds weird, D-Fish, but he's got to get his legs under him. I mean, did either of you have a season where you ever played, as Ali said, 11 games? And he was just a bit player in the playoffs, like barely played, you know, in any of those games. It's got to be hard to basically take a whole season off, and now, boom, here you are trying to get it up and go.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the shot attempts, you know, you play 16 minutes, you get 3 shot attempts. It's hard to really get into whether you shot the ball well or not. You know, Max, really more his versatility on the defensive end. You know, in a matchup with the Warriors, go back and look at the film tonight. How did he do in the possessions that he guarded Steph Curry? How did he do in the possessions that he guarded Moses Moody? How did he do chasing Buddy Hield off of screens? Like, those are the things you're trying to kind of pull out from Max's video to see, can he play some of those, you know, meaningful minutes in a regular season matchup with the Warriors? Because we know, obviously, catch and shoot from the three-point line is a strength of his. So it's not really a 0 for 3 thing or a 0 for 4 thing with him. More so, can he handle the rest of the game playing against high-level NBA players, all-star caliber players on a nightly basis?
You can't forget that. You are without Klay Thompson. It's not the Splash Brothers anymore, but there's still a Warrior system. And there's a lot of chasing and a lot of running around.
The film, but when you have a tough shooting night like that, is it kind of about the way that you're getting shots?
I was highly encouraged with the shots we got. Highly encouraged. It was when we didn't trust our offense and got a little stagnant, ball stuck. That was the beginning of that third quarter. We had 19 points, I think, in the third, and AD had 8 on 4 straight possessions in iso ball, which I called those plays because he hadn't touched it. I mean, that was just, we didn't play good offense that quarter. That happens sometimes, and it's a growth opportunity. It's a learning lesson for our group. Our execution, ball movement, passing, all of that stuff, and I'll rewatch it, but I thought it was great in the first half. We just didn't make shots, and that's a human nature. It's a tendency of groups, of players. I've lived it. Again, a lot of these things I've lived, so I have some experience and some perspective on it. You stop trusting it, and you start, I got to get myself going. I got to get myself going, and that's not how we want to play, and that's okay. It happens. We'll get better. But I was very pleased with the types of shots we generated, and given their size and given, you know, Draymond's a savvy player. this was not going to be a heavy rim game for us. It just wasn't. So, again, I just thought they started that third. I didn't like how we played.
One individual note, Rui had 9 rebounds today. His rebounding has been up all preseason. Did you kind of specifically
Yes.
mention? Yeah. What have you seen from him, and then kind of following?
Rui's
through
been
with that?
great. I mean, he, I think, was still getting acclimated when we had our first preseason game. He'd only practiced 3 times and was not a full participant in most of September. He was in and out of the gym, and he had some family stuff. So, he's been super committed to our classroom and in the mornings, and we talked about it today. He feels like that's been very helpful, and everything we've asked him to do, he's done. So he's been awesome.
JJ, I know the finish line is way down the road for you guys, but you have a week left of the preseason. You guys open on Tuesday. Next week, what areas do you think this team needs to take the biggest steps here over the next 7 days to be ready for that game?
We're ready. We're ready. Just continue to build trust in what we're doing. Again, I'll rewatch it, but our off-ball rules were very clear. They are very clear. We've practiced that. We worked on it again today. When we made stuff up, they hurt us. So you just have to trust it. I thought our guys, when they were in lock and trail and chasing and following our off-ball screening rules, they did a really nice job. And when they didn't, they hurt us. They got layups. They got open threes. And that's the biggest thing. There's some stuff, we'll continue to clean up some stuff in the transition defense. That wasn't particularly good. You look at that, and then you look at us really just making mistakes in our off-ball rules. That's how they got 52 points in the paint. And that's what this team does. That's what the Warriors do. You have to trust what you're doing defensively.
JJ, to follow up on that, I think they had 12 of their 13 offensive rebounds by the midway point of the third quarter. I guess how much of the off-ball mistakes did you see that kind of translating into them getting offensive rebounds, particularly with their guards?
Yeah, they're related. They're related. So, some of that, look, again, our group has consistently just came with the right intent and the right energy. They've been wonderful. But they have some high energy guys, and clearly they give their guards offensive freedom, and we didn't do a great job of blocking out. But to your point, it is related when you're scrambling around and maybe you mess up a coverage or a switch rule, and you're off the body, and there's a tendency to just kind of die on the play, and they just kept playing.
JJ, we spoke about pregame. I guess now all these preseason games, you've had about a quarter and a half of action at the end of the game where it's not your typical rotation. Different guys may be playing in roles that they don't necessarily will be playing once the season starts. How do you think that could benefit or affect Dalton? He led you guys in shots again tonight. I imagine that's not going to be a normal occurrence in the regular season.
To answer your question specifically, I want to understand what the specific question is. Sorry. So how is what?
So if you're trying to develop Dalton,
Sure.
to be a contributor
Yeah.
this season,
Sure.
and now in the preseason, several games, he's been playing a role that he won't be playing.
No, he's yeah. I don't know who's going to finish games, if that's what you're asking. I don't know necessarily night to night who's going to finish games. But in terms of his role and how he's played, that's who he is. We're gonna run stuff for him. He's going to benefit from playing with LeBron and AD. He's another guy who we've asked him to do something. Dalton Crash. He's been awesome. He's got eight offensive rebounds over the last 2 games. He's a natural cutter. He fits in our system. Like how he's played in the fourth quarter is how he's going to play. I just don't know.
So I guess my question is the heavy usage. That's a good thing then for the
Yeah. I mean, it's good. I mean, he's got no off switch, which is great. I mean, he's going to continue to shoot the ball and be aggressive. The biggest thing for him is, defensively, we've got to get him better and up to speed. But that's nearly every NBA rookie, and we'll always, for all these guys, like they know what a good shot is and what a bad shot is. You can go through and nitpick on stuff. He's 6'5" with a nearly 6'10" wingspan. He can get his shot off. I want him to be aggressive. I don't want to be in his head about stuff. And he's, whether it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20, 25 minutes, like we want him to be Dalton Connect when he's on the floor.
JJ, Brian Salmon, NBC here in Las Vegas. A couple of years ago, LeBron talked about wanting to bring an NBA franchise to Las Vegas. He made a plea to Commissioner Silver. You were here during the in-season tournament and here with the Lakers tonight. What are your thoughts on Las Vegas as an NBA city?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's above my pay grade to be speculating on those things. I will say that Las Vegas has proven to be an excellent sports town. I know that whether it's been the hockey team, the WNBA team, the NFL team, like there's a nice following. There's obviously a lot of things to do. It's a place that people like to come visit, but I'm not thinking about expansion right now. So,
Gotcha. Thanks.
Good. Hey, Austin, JJ told us that the plan was to have minutes limit, and so obviously just played the first half. How did the ankle feel, and how does it feel afterwards?
Yeah, I feel good. I just like getting out there and playing. When they told me 15 to 18 minutes, obviously, I'm like, cool. When I got out there, I was like, I want to play more, but you stick to what, the script is and, trust the medical staff, to put me in the best position to, be healthy for the, whole year. So felt good. I feel good now. Feel like I could have played more. But like I said, you stick to the script. Those guys are professionals, and we had a plan going into the game and executed the plan and felt really good.
Shots didn't go down tonight for the team. Where do you think that you guys need to get to just to start to get a little bit more crisp on that end, or do you feel like you like the shots that you got and they just didn't go in tonight?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of really good shots. The first half, I didn't see much of the third quarter. I was icing in the back, but I feel like in the first half we got good looks and we just didn't make. We didn't make them tonight. You just got to stay confident shooting them. Trust the work that you've been putting in, and trust the system that we have to generate us, those good looks, and we'll make them, when it matters.
Austin, JJ said pregame that he wanted to go with a 9-man rotation in the first half. It was a pretty similar rotation to the Suns game in terms of substitution pattern and kind of the times you guys are coming in and out. Just as a player, what does that do for you guys, kind of knowing when I'm going to be coming out this time, coming back in, I'm going to be playing with this lineup? What can that do for you guys just in terms of continuity to start the season?
Yeah, I think it's just a comfort level and knowing anything you do, if you know what's asked of you to do, or the game plan going into the game. Obviously, throughout the flow of the game, things are going to change. It's not always going to be a set time. Someone might get hot. You might sit a little longer. You might stay out a little longer. But knowing where you're going to generate most of your shots defensively, what is being asked of you is really good, and that just comes with the foundation that this coaching staff has came and put in, and to me it's a really good thing.
There was a play, I think it was in the first half. Well, obviously you played in the first half, so it had to be in the first half, with Jackson, where I think it was a pitch ahead you had to him, and then he kind of handoff to you, if I remember it correctly. It looked like it was like a set action. Have there been, how much wrinkles like that have you guys, I don't even know if that was a set action, but if it was, have you guys been kind of adding to the playbook as the preseason has gone on?
Yeah, I mean, that specific play wasn't a scripted play. Obviously, we have scripted plays that, either start in that, end in that, to give us an advantage. But I think it's just read and react playing basketball. And to your point of, growing through the preseason, yeah, we're still putting stuff in right now that that we're going to do, when season starts. So I feel like, we've done a really good job as a team, getting good at what the base was and then kind of just, adding things throughout the week. So I think, with the staff that we have, it's very detailed, very, IQ'd, and we have to, execute it as good as we can, kind of not before we move on to the next thing, but make sure that we're, in sync with what we're doing right now. See y'all.
Hey, Jackson, we've gotten a couple looks now at the first half rotation, kind of like when you come in and play some minutes with AD, a little bit different from last year. Just wondered how your comfortability level is with that, and what are the things that you focus on?
I really like it a lot because when that happens, I can focus on just crashing, playing in the dunker, getting ball screens, because I know he's already been in the whole quarter, so I got to pick up for a little bit for him. And also, it's just he brings all that extra attention, so it's like I can sit in the dunker and kind of get any easy buckets whenever he's in. So, I like it a lot.
Yeah, and does it just give you a certain sense of, I don't know if it's comfortability, but just knowing, hey, I'm going to come in at a certain time, and these are the guys I'm going to play with? How has that helped your game?
I like it a lot. It's all, I feel like for role guys like me, it's all about just getting in the rhythm, coming in, getting in the rhythm. And so I feel like with that first group, it's nice and easy to come in and get a rhythm with them. So it's blessed.
Jackson, JJ mentioned that he felt like with the off-ball rules that there were times where you guys kind of stuck to the game plan and were successful, and then there were times where you guys might have kind of gone off course and they made you pay with layups or offensive rebounds or whatever. What did you see in terms of how you guys kind of handled that defensively, and how do you feel like you guys can improve from tonight?
Yeah, it's still preseason game number 4. We got 2 left. So, really it's just all about just fixing those little details. We haven't had as many practices as other teams because we've been playing more games. So just getting repetition and just working on that stuff, I feel like we'll be good.
What's it like for you, coming from New Orleans now to Lakers coaches? You played for 3 different coaches the last 3 years, and just digesting.
It's 5 for 6. Five coaches in 6 years.
There you go. So just digesting the different terminology for the plays, the different plays period, the different philosophies and rules, as Jovan referred to. What's that like for you?
It's definitely a little bit of difficulty in it, but luckily for me, I feel like JJ, when they came, they used most of the same terminology me and JJ used in New Orleans. So, and also Coach Bobby was with us in New Orleans for our defense. And so, I feel like this coaching staff, it's been pretty easy just because I already knew most of the stuff with them because we've ran it before. But yeah, stuff like that, always going to take time. That's why you got to take this preseason time in and use it to get ready and get repped up for the year, I feel like.
And when you hear that there's 2 more preseason games, but it's just a week until the regular season starts, does that feel like enough time to feel prepared?
For sure. I feel like we're getting there. We definitely got to work on some more things, but I feel like we're getting closer and closer to where we should be to start the season, and so I feel like we definitely can get there in the 2 games. Appreciate you guys. Y'all have a good night.
Good to see Austin back in action after missing the last game with that sore ankle. Fish, I'll start with you. Where do you want to see, I think more so big picture with Austin, his game go to the next level here in season 4 for him?
It's a really good question. Austin is a really solid, versatile player. So you don't necessarily have to box him into, we need Austin to only make more threes this year. When his energy dips and he's not physically at his peak, and this applies to most players, he doesn't play as well, right? And so figuring out really, okay, what's going to be the right combination? Are there nights that Austin should be taking a step back or managing his usage rate or whether he plays at all, because he is so impactful in a positive way to this team that one could argue just as much as LeBron and AD have to be healthy for this team to have a chance to win, Austin Reeves has to be healthy for this team to have a chance to win. And so managing him in the right way, I think is going to be a key thing to look out for this year.
It's no surprise sitting there on media day when we asked him about that badge of playing all 82 last year, big game. He was like, that is no joke. That was a lot.
Look, the kid's undrafted, right? So he only knows one way, and that's hard. You think about, big guys like Shaq and Kareem and, those guys who get double and triple team. You think they take a beating every night. He gives his all. He gives his body, his mind. He only knows one way. And he's asked to do a lot, especially on the defensive end. They attack him. It's very physical. So I agree with Fish. I mean, he's vital to the team. I'm sure he's in the weight room trying to get as strong as he possibly can because every night he's asked to defend. He only knows one way to play, and that's physical and hard every night. And so I think it's something that they need to be aware of. I mean, if anybody needs a little bit of load manage over the season, it would be Austin.
Yeah, and I like what JJ said about his defense last week. He said, look, he's not a chump. That's the phrase he used. And he said he's the type of guy we're going to need to rely on defensively. And for you, D-Fish, you played all 82 about a half dozen times, I'm guessing. I mean, back in the day, when you and Kobe and Power were winning championships, I think half the rotation guys played 82 games. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So now Austin obviously does it this 1 year, last season, and he's the only guy to do it. It's funny how that metric has changed. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
I would ask you how exhausted he is, but you did it every year. It was like second win for you.
No, these guys are running a lot more miles, I would argue. Just the way the game is played, how many pick and rolls, how much ball movement and player movement, the way they have to chase guys off screen. So I think it is more challenging in some ways to play all 82 now than it used to be. But guys like Austin, as James said, that's how he got here. And so in a lot of ways that can't change. That's his superpower, is consistency, durability, sustainability. So I don't know if we'll ever see him playing only 65 games. He's probably going to play 75 to 80 plus games every season.
Yeah, and as for that ankle soreness that he came in here with, he looked fine. He moved well. He's fine.
I do have a question for the two of you, because after practice yesterday, he was asked about taking advantage of rest, and rest in a sense of managing his time when he's not playing in games or on off days or practice days. And he made this comment about getting into better habits. Anytime you can sit down and kick your feet up, you need to do it because it's a long year. And so he's kind of turning that corner of having that understanding. Do you remember at what point of your careers maybe you recognized that or maybe shifted into having that understanding?
A much more sophisticated athlete today. I mean, the science and what the knowledge that they have before them, they can easily develop a formula. We were making up our own. I mean,
He did
rest,
say that, yep.
Rest, I mean, you got your rest in the afternoon and, pregame, you had a schedule. And, guys were working out. Most guys weren't really lifting and working out. It was just mostly bigs. So, man, we were stopping at Burger King on the way home, and it was different.
Like it was nothing, yeah.
But rest was critical. You had to get your rest like 3 days before the game. Not the night before, but like 48 minutes before. You had to start thinking about that week and how you can, get away from your family chores and things like that. All that comes into play because it can be a distraction in the rest that you get. If you're used to getting, let's say, 7 hours a night and you only get 4 or 5, that could be a problem in how you react and how you play over a week or over a period of games. Maybe not just one game, but over 7 or 8 games that you have to prepare for. You have to really be thinking about that.
He did point to the resources. He said, where I came from, our coach was also our trainer. And so now we've got the resources that he wanted to take advantage of.
For sure. Yes, and the nutrition piece is much different than it is than it was when we played. But yeah, there's no question that you can't play as many rounds of golf and play all 82 games
Yeah.
and play at an all-star level.
Yep.
It doesn't go together.
D-Fish, I shortchanged you. You played all 82 9 times, and you played 81 and 80 in 2 other seasons. What happened in those years? Why 81 and 80?
That was a
Basketball
different, that was a
9
different
times
time.
82. 9 times.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's fair to say that nobody will be breaking AC Green's record.
Yeah, you got that right.
think?
Yep.
Yeah,
Iron
I
Man.
think he's got that one for a while.
Yep.
Welcome back to Hoopzone Sports News.
Today we've got a hot topic from First Take, where Mark Cuban joins Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp to discuss everything from the Dallas Mavericks to the state of the NBA, and even his final season on Shark Tank. There's a lot to unpack, so let's dive right in. First off, Cuban dropped a bombshell earlier this year by selling his majority stake in the Dallas Mavericks, and he explains exactly why on the show. Cuban talks about how the NBA landscape has changed, with rising salaries and the need for owners to build casinos and real estate just to stay competitive. He says that's just not his thing, and I get that. It's a bold move stepping back from the majority role after 24 years of running the show in Dallas. One of the most interesting points Cuban makes is about the state of the NBA today. He believes it's the most competitive it's ever been. That's saying a lot coming from someone who saw the rise of Dirk Nowitzki and Jason Kidd. But now, as Cuban explains, no team is guaranteed 60 wins anymore. There's just too much talent across the league. He's right. Teams are fighting for every game, and even small market teams are no longer begging for revenue sharing like in the old days. Then the conversation shifts to Klay Thompson joining the Mavericks alongside Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. Cuban seems pretty confident that Klay will thrive with these two. He says Klay will get easier shots than ever before, thanks to Kyrie and Luka's playmaking abilities. That could be a game changer for the Mavs this season. What do you all think? Will Klay be the key to taking Dallas to the next level? And let's not forget, Cuban touches on the NBA's growth, including the rise of social media. He proudly claims that the NBA dominates platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, which is great for expanding the league's global presence. But he also acknowledges the challenge of monetizing this social media dominance effectively. It's a new frontier for the NBA, and Cuban's always been one to keep pushing the boundaries. Finally, he wraps up with a sentimental note about why he's leaving Shark Tank. Cuban says it's all about spending more time with his family, and honestly, I respect that. After building such a massive legacy in both the NBA and business world, choosing family over more fame and fortune says a lot about his character. So, what's the takeaway here? Mark Cuban is stepping into a new chapter, both in his career and his personal life, while still believing that the NBA is in the best shape it's ever been. As for the Mavericks, with Klay, Kyrie, and Luka, the sky's the limit. If they can stay healthy and mesh well on the court, only time will tell. Now it's your turn. What do you think about Mark Cuban's comments? Will Klay Thompson fit well with the Mavericks, or is this going to be another big gamble? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Hoopzone Sport News, and ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss any updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.